I mean, for us, it's really always been about, where any new technology, but AI, most obviously, where it's going to have the biggest impact is, on the hardest problems, right? And what are the hardest problems in the streaming space? Retention is number one.
Hi, everybody, and we're back again in September with the Retention Zone, just before the IBC, and I'm thinking what's going to happen there in Amsterdam. Obviously, we have Retention Zone Live, our event, supported by Cleeng, on this Thursday at 6 p.m. So we're expecting quite almost 100 people coming to our first event. But today, I'm happy to be with Damien Organ, who is the head of product at Cleeng, who has a lot of things to announce and explain and concretely say what they will be doing at IBC. Hi, Damien.
Hey, Carlo, how are you?
I'm good, thanks. So, there's been a lot of talk about AI lately. Obviously, IBC will be another place where a lot of people will talk about AI, but I know you're doing stuff, right? You're really implementing, and you were ready before it was hyped, I have to say, correct?
Yeah, absolutely. Without a doubt, it's the hot topic at the moment. I mean, for us, it's really always been about, where any new technology, but AI, most obviously, where it's going to have the biggest impact is, on the hardest problems, right? And what are the hardest problems in the streaming space? Retention is number one. And most platforms are, one way or another, their data team is trying to, search for indicators, right? Looking for indicators of long-term loyalty, that people are going to stay on the platform, and conversely, that they're going to leave, right, based on engagement or payment patterns or so on. And the challenge ultimately with this is, number one, that it's really time consuming, and you're taking a lot of smart people and they're spending a lot of time trying to figure this stuff out. But the second thing is that it varies. These indicators vary in their reliability over time. They vary between different customer groups and so on. And it's just a very intensive process where you feel like you're always catching up. And ultimately, the power of AI and advanced data processing here is that it takes a lot of that intensive effort out of the picture and more gets you to the outcome more quickly. And so that's one, really. It's really about this ability to predict the behavior of customer groups, particularly in the context of retention. And I think that the second area, which is really crucial, and sometimes people forget about in this picture, is what do you do now that you have your predictions? What do you do now that you have your different customer cohorts? How are you going to tailor for these different groups? How are you actually going to target them with different types of campaigns and offers and so on? And I think here again is somewhere that AI is going to have a very big impact. And we can see it already on our side. It's going to massively accelerate, I think, your learning above all, right? So knowing what groups are most important, what campaigns are most effective, that speeding up of the optimization on that front, this is something that's going to be really significant for platforms, especially when it comes to the bottom line.
Yeah, and to make it more concrete, you will show me a demo soon, correct? So we're not just chit-chatting about it.
I'm a product guy, Carlo. I always have a demo ready, so yeah, of course.
That sounds very good. So if I remember well, in your platform, there was an area, part of the product was called ChurnIQ, that already was using AI, before the hype. This is the part that you were mentioning before, if I understood correctly.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, we've been working with machine learning prediction models for, I guess, 4 to 5 years. At this point, really, the initiative has been that long. And, we obviously collect a lot of data. I can describe that in a bit more detail later. But, using the history of the subscriber, payment data, the engagement data, we've been able to predict churn with up to 95% accuracy, right? Identifying the people who are going to leave the platform. And so that's been, a great learning experience for us. And it's given us a really good grounding in this space that, it's really, the whole industry is getting excited about now. But I think the second aspect of that, again, is that, we're very action-centered as a company, very action-centered on a product level. And it's really about, application of those insights, application of those predictions is really important to us. And one of the areas, for an example, we've had a lot of success is platforms, using Cleeng and using ChurnIQ, achieving win back rates with their customers, close to 40%, right? That's maybe, 15% potentially above the industry average. And there are some areas where we've already seen there's a lot of potential here.
everybody's saying AI will transform everything. It will be immediate change, a revolution. We know that this transformation takes years and adoption takes years. But I mean, as you're actively working and operating, building and operating on it, what are the success factors? So what do you need to make AI really work in real life, give a real result to customers and benefit to the end consumer in the end?
Yeah, it's a great question. The way I've come to think about this is you take a powerful technology like AI. It's a bit like having a supercar, in that you need somewhere to drive it, right? It's like you take your Bugatti Veyron off road, and maybe it doesn't feel so much like a supercar anymore. AI in the analytic context in particular is very much like that. If you have a perfect surface, right? So you have simple, clean data, it's working within a fairly known environment. It's super easy to apply AI to your platform. Where it gets difficult is the reality of the streaming industry is that it's much more complex than that on an architectural level. So you take what Cleeng does, right? So we are providing the plan structure for the monetization of the platform, the different payment methods, the localization of the experience in different countries, different regions, everything subscription management related across the whole life cycle. So upgrading and free trials and converting and so on, the support experience, and then any offers that you want to target, right? But we're doing this across every channel, right? So you look at any streaming platform today, and there's a web version, and it's in the App Store and the Play Store and Roku and every other connected TV you can imagine. And every one of these sources is different, right? So this is where the complexity is that the data is going to look different, be labeled different, seem different, no matter what source it's coming from. And that variation is not a very fertile environment for AI to work. 90%, I would say, of the work, if I think about, when we started the journey of building our data lake at this point, back in 2018, I guess, through our AWS partnership, 90% of the effort is in actually creating that coherent data set where the AI is really going to be effective, right? Where it's a stable environment, every event is understood, there things really start to work very effectively. But getting to that point, it's a time-consuming process.
And one thing that I noticed, talking to different people and analyzing the different, if you want, scenarios and projects that I've looked at, this is not going to get simplified. I think the complexity and sophistication is increasing in terms of now everything was like pure as VOD, and then you had other platforms doing other things. Now all the big clients are merging ad supported and as VOD, and they have fast channel. And in the end, the customer are all in this, not the same, but they're all customer that you want to bring in, keep, retain, right?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, the monetization models are getting more sophisticated, more complex, more tailored. There's more integration of different channels through which people can access the content. And all of this is going to lend itself to greater complexity in the data. But this is why ultimately, where you see AI really be used effectively for predicting customer behavior and for grouping customers into meaningful cohorts and segments, and ultimately turning that into successful campaigns, is where there's deep knowledge of the space. That deep knowledge of the space is the critical piece, the people who can make sense of what's happening in all of these different platforms. And when that data is all being put together into one data set that can be really used by a powerful model, that coherence is the thing that you cannot take a shortcut to, right? The technology, is available on the market. You can get that technology, but what you can't get is the deep knowledge and the learning that needs to take place over time. And I think the key is to have built a stack within your business over time that really makes sense with the data that you're working with. And as I said, we've been fortunate in our partnership with AWS, to use the best technologies they were bringing at a time where we had the data set that was going to make the most of it. And I think the other piece that I would just add to this is that in order to build this really effective application, it's all about how closely your operations stack and your data stack are working together. If they are completely decoupled, then it's going to make it really difficult. Number one, because of the data that is being fed into your analytics architecture and the platforms that you're using. But then secondly, how you use that data afterwards. And having this tightly linked operational stack and analytics stack, at Cleeng, where subscriber retention management has been our mission, that was the key prerequisite, the key enabler that we got pretty early on. We knew this had to be in place if it was really going to be effective for our customers.
One thing that maybe for less product-oriented people that we are, explain well what you mean by operational. And
when we think about the operational tools, this is everything from creating the subscription plans that you have, creating the campaigns, so the coupon campaigns that you're going to run, right through to the actual customer communications, right? This area that is really the key operations of your platform, the things that you're going to run day to day. And the analytics stack, of course, then is everywhere where the data is coming from those operations. And ultimately, the data is looking to feed back ideas, strategies, opportunities back into your operational system.
So basically what you're saying, and I totally relate to that, you just don't need only the best technology organized in a great architecture, but you need the people using them, understanding how it works, and having a very effective way of using all these tools for the final result. Otherwise, if the two are disconnected, you possibly spend a lot of money for nothing, and you have bad results in the end. Simplified version.
You nailed it.
Okay, cool. So, and finally, you have some announcement for the ABC that you're making, and we finally see a demo, which as product people, it's always good.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I mean, I think for us, obviously the AI wave that's been there over the last 18 months, 2 years has been very exciting for everyone. But we've been working with various AI technologies, whether it's in the support aspect of the platform or the payment processing, or of course in the analytics engine, for some time. And we really did not want to create something new just for the sake of having something new. Really, we wanted to look at the existing problems we were solving and to really focus on those. I think that was the key thing for us. The first solution that we're really excited to talk about is what we call ChurnIQ Studio. ChurnIQ Studio is an analytics design space, and essentially we're taking all of this data that we've been building within our data lake for the streaming industry over the last 6-7 years, and giving complete access to our customers to that data environment, right? So really throwing it open, giving them the freedom to explore and work and personalize that data in a way that really makes sense for them. And I can jump into the demo now. Would that work for you, Carlo? So there were a few things we really wanted to achieve with ChurnIQ Studio, and this is coming from our experience of having an analytics platform built for this space over the last 7 or 8 years. We succeeded, I think, in building an analytics environment that was really focused on the streaming industry, or really built for that industry. But when you get to that point, you start to realize that, well, even within all of these streaming platforms, there are different needs, potentially, that different teams, different people have within those organizations. And what we wanted to get past, I think, was this place where analytics as a product in the industry, we're kind of rigid. We're not giving people the freedom to really work with data that they wanted or that they benefit from. So what we've taken is this entire set of data dimensions that we have, over 100 different dimensions of data, and giving complete access to users, right? So they can take any data point, any metric that they want, and they can work with it however they want to do it, however they want to visualize data, however they want to define specific metrics, meaning that whether it's your CFO, the CTO, the product team, whoever, can very easily create their own analytics environment. And there's many aspects of this that were important, right? So being able to very quickly compare between groups. So you see a free trial conversion rate overall for your platform. But very quickly you want to understand, well, how does that differ across different countries? How is this differing between products? How is this differing between different groups of customers, right? All of these questions that you naturally have as you explore data, what we wanted to take away was this pain where there was a long process between, you know, having a new question and getting an answer, and to make it super easy so that within minutes you would have your own version of the analytics that you want to look at. And this, again, I think would really speed up the learning that our customers would have within the platform. Some aspects of this, I think, that, you know, were really important was how could we enable our clients to tell stories with their data, which is one of the most important things that they're trying to do to communicate with the rest of their organization and help them understand the dynamics of what's happening within the customer base that they have, right? One of the other things I think that is really key here is, you know, how do you go back to what we said at the beginning and create different groups of customers, right? So you want to understand what's the different behavior between customers who cancel from your platform for different reasons, between those who cancel for content reasons and those who cancel due to maybe some streaming issues. Can you very easily see what's the difference in lifetime value of these different customer groups? What's the difference in the propensity of these customers to come back to your platform? All of these types of questions, we wanted simply to make them very easy to answer. And one of the things that, you know, we're really happy about is we built this very comprehensive analytics environment, and now we've given complete freedom for customers to explore it, you know, build their version of the analytics environment that they've always wanted.
So basically, ChurnIQ Studio is a personalized dashboard that is simple to use. As I have to say, I'm a bit of a data visualization freak. Very cool visualization. But you also have a second one thing that you want to announce, correct?
Right, exactly. So I think you know, it's great, and, you know, we're very happy that we're able to give this access to this very rich data environment that we've built. But the second thing, of course, is we really want to help people explore it, and this is why we're introducing the ChurnIQ AI-ssistant. And ChurnIQ AI-ssistant, in essence, is, you know, a super smart assistant that's going to help our users get answers, communicate their ideas with data, explore their data, but without any deep analytical expertise, right? So creating data visualizations based purely on conversational prompts, right? So which of my products is growing the fastest? What does retention look like for my subscribers in my latest acquisition campaign? Being very quickly able to ask simple questions and get answers in a way that, you know, only very recently would have required quite a lot of data expertise. So I think on one level, this is just simply being able to, you know, very quickly understand data sets that are being presented to you, or data sets that are available to you within the platform that you're running, right? So if you see your transactional data for all of your mobile stores, you know, there's many different ways you could approach that, but the simplest thing is you can ask, you know, what are the most notable trends within this data that I'm seeing? You know, what are the key differences between the purchase patterns in these stores that I'm looking at? And rather than having to construct, you know, very complex queries, rather than having to go to your BI team internally or develop that expertise yourself to build, you know, complex queries, you can simply ask a question. And I think being able just to ask questions to get those answers is a very powerful thing. There are some ways where we've really seen clients in, you know, the beta version of this really find a lot of value. I think one is, of course, being able to very quickly get you know, business trends across the different channels that they're using. So what are the key differences between their Roku customer base and their App Store customer base, for example, right? How does lifetime value differ? How are acquisition rates different? But I think another aspect of this is, you know, being able to very quickly identify key customer segments just through asking these types of questions, right? So understanding, you know, based on tenure within the platform, how long customers have been active on your platform as a subscriber, what's the difference in the patterns of engagement you see with those customer groups? And these are things that, again, the fact that you can access these insights simply by providing prompts to this engine, it really encourages people and motivates people to explore their data much more, because it just simply makes it easier. And I think this is a key part of the value too, is that just very easily now the discovery, the uncovering of these maybe hidden patterns within your database has been made much easier, but it's also much easier to communicate that data and communicate that information elsewhere, because not only is the AI assistant providing answers to questions, but it's also visualizing data as you requested to. So if you wanted to show you, what is the difference in acquisition rates across all of my Western European audience, it will create that visualization for you. And I think this is something that's really going to fundamentally change, not just today, but I think in the coming years, how people work with data in this industry.
So I'm a big fan of conversational interfaces. I know they're not good for everything, but I'm really using it a lot. And this is super exciting. So basically, this is all into ChurnIQ dashboard. And second question, can it adapt to personas?
Yes, I mean, this is something that I think is really a key aspect of this, is that we're fortunate again that having been in this industry for a long time, we do have that understanding of how people use the product differently. So immediately, the first version of ChurnIQ Studio and ChurnIQ AI-ssistant working together is going to be able to adapt to different key personas. So your director of product, your VP strategy, your CFO are all going to have slightly different experiences with it, because it's going to understand that they're going to have slightly different needs. But over time, I think as we generate more feedback from the different personas using the product, I think that's going to become more and more refined.
Yeah. So I've not been able to put my hands on it, but on this little toy that got me excited, because I've spent a lot of time in the past 5 to 7 years doing the same thing manually, looking at data. So imagine how excited I can be. On the other hand, the IBC will be the great occasion to try and test what you've put together. So I will be there on Friday playing with the tool. And also, again, so thank you for the demo. Thank you for introducing these new aspects and part of the Cleeng platform. Again, reminding everybody, we'll be Retention Zone live on Thursday, 12 at 6 p.m. in the center of Amsterdam. Very cool location. Hopefully, a lot of cool people and some engaging discussion. For sure, it won't be boring, because there's so much to talk about it. And thank you. I mean, product people, finally. Sorry, not that I don't like the non-product people, but it's home for me. So I really like when we can do these kind of things.
Thank you, Carlo. Pleasure.
Bye-bye, Damien. Ciao.